Welcome to the Relevance Rapport, where we sit down with global industry leaders who are driving impact and shaping the future. Today, we sit down with Gil Dezer. He's the president of Dezer Development in Miami. He really is one of the city's most prolific developers, behind such towers as the Porsche Tower, the Armani Tower, the upcoming Bentley Tower, and also the developer of the Intercoastal Mall. We're honored to have Gil as a client, a friend, and a guest on the Relevance Rapport. Welcome to the show, Gil.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We're honored to have you joining us today from sunny Miami. I'm assuming you're getting great weather once again, as you always do. But
it's that time of the year where it's starting to get hot.
I'm sure. And, but you can't complain because it's hot up here too. And we don't get the sunshine year round. So we don't win in New York.
And you don't have the beach at your front door either.
We don't.
Right.
Don't. So I want to share with our listeners today what is so great about not only Miami, but especially Sunny Isles, which you've helped basically create with your developments. And you're very much, an innovator who's created much of the waterfront development for the Miami area. And, I just want them to get a picture of why Miami and why you're so passionate about developing there. Can you just share a little bit?
Well, why Miami started from university. I grew up in New Jersey, Tenafly, New Jersey, and then I went to University of Miami at 18, and I fell in love with this place. I said, everybody up north who doesn't live here, they need to get their head checked. This place is paradise. And the best part about it is there's industry here. You can do business here. You can have a nice life and earn money. And it's like living in the Caribbean with real industry, if you will. And so that's the most beautiful part about Miami. Every weekend you're on vacation. You do things here. I was last January. I was on the boat with my kids, and I was thinking to myself, hey, in New York it was freezing, and I said, I didn't grow up this way. So I look at it as a great place to bring up a family. It's a great place to live, all the New Yorkers, me included at the time, when we were there, we thought New York was the epicenter of the world and everything outside of New York doesn't make sense. And once you expand outside and you see what's going on, there's real worlds outside of Manhattan and beautiful places to live and really, real quality of life. I didn't understand what that meant until you actually, until I was old enough, because I was still a kid and hustling around. But quality of life, I see how other people are living in other parts of the country, and Miami's the spot.
It's what everybody's talking about. Obviously, in New York, we like to claim it as the sixth borough, but that's just New Yorkers trying to be selfish and bring all the winning areas into the fold, of course. And so many people are going from the Hamptons to Miami, even if they're not in the city proper right now. We're definitely seeing that as a trend of, well, they're straddling, the two cities, really going back and forth and making that the new normal, especially since a lot of the businesses during the pandemic moved down to Miami, like Goldman. And the trend seems to just be continuing, right?
That's what we're hearing. We're hearing that there's big leases being signed, and more huge companies coming down, and with big leases bring lots of employees, and so it's going to be great for Miami, and it's not one of these things that's just a shot. It's going to be, I think, a slow long-term growth, because people are starting to wake up to see what I saw 20 years ago. So and that's really what it is. The pandemic has given us the opportunity to really. It really changed, obviously, everything of how we all work from home, and now you can work from anywhere. So that guy who wants to be in the Hamptons and be in Florida, as long as he's in Florida for more than half the year, he gets the tax benefit, and he can still be in the Hamptons. There's lots of people still doing that. They're running out of here for the summer. There are memes going around saying, the first hurricane that comes around, all the New Yorkers are going to run away. But I don't believe that to be true, because the hurricanes are just a bad rainstorm. But so it was a great influx of New Yorkers. I believe that Palm Beach got even more than we did, from the stats that I saw. Right. But it's just good for all of us. It's rising tide raises all ships. Yes,
and you're also a big international hub as well. It's not just Americans who are flocking to Miami.
Right. Miami has traditionally been built. The pre-construction market works well with the South Americans. The U.S. market doesn't come in or is not typically ready to come in to put 50% deposits on apartments. and wait 3-4 years for them to be ready. So the South Americans though do, because that's how they learn in their country, and that's how it's done in their country, and it also allows them to make payments slower, so that makes it more affordable for everybody, by paying 10% every, call it 6 or 8 months, whatever the case may be. So yes, but we need the doors to open. We need the doors to open to South America. We need all this, everybody to define what is vaccine or not vaccine, or what you really need to come here. And we need that free flow of people coming back in, because I have to imagine this tremendous, we haven't seen any South American sales, to speak of, in the last, call it 16, 18 months. And so, I have to imagine that there's a tremendous pent up demand from those who are still earning good dollars there. That level of South American that earns money, they earn money regardless of good or bad markets, and they love to spend it here in Miami. So what's left to be seen is when we open up the doors to the rest of the world and let them back into the U.S.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're also, just to tell our listeners a little bit about you, Gil, you're really known for branded residences. You've brought so many great brands into residential properties in the Miami area, from Porsche Tower, Armani Tower, and coming up, you've got Bentley, which has just been announced as well. Can you talk to us a little bit about that offering? Because it is unique, and I think the branded residence concept is just booming and set to keep going that way. And it is unique in that it's something special that you can't get anywhere else. So it might bring somebody from really far away across the globe to have a second, third, fourth home in something like this, which would be just an iconic trophy home, really. So can you talk to us a little bit about what it means to live in these branded residences, that you're building? I know they're all a little different, but.
To live in them is what we try to create in each one of these buildings is it's a 5-star hotel without transient guests. So to live in these towers, you have everything from restaurant to room service to spas. You can book a massage, you can book all kinds of treatments, facials, etc. Everything inside the building, you never have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Movie theaters inside the buildings, kids rooms, club rooms. Of course, it's on the beach. There's pools at the Porsche Design Tower, and what we're doing again in Bentley, we put plunge pools on every single balcony. And these are not plunge pools. These are 15-foot pools. So like a plunge pool is usually a bathtub. This is a 15-foot long pool on the terrace, all the way up the building, directly looking at the ocean. So those are the different things that we do in our towers. The brand is great, but you have to back it up. You can't just slap a brand on the building and figure you're going to sell condos. There's a few other guys who tried to do that, and their sales record and their success is showing that's not the right way to do it. So when we get in with a brand, we really totally encompass everything about the brand. The Armani Tower, down to the fixtures, we're Armani Roca fixtures, down to the fabrics that you use on the wall, where the Armani designed silk fabrics that we use on the wall. We had, they were very specific on their stones and what kind of marbles we used. We had to hire a gemologist, to go through and cull through all the marble that we put on the floor. But when you see it, all that stuff was numbered all the way in Italy as they were cutting the rock and then laid down, so it all book matches. We have one book match that runs 400 feet straight, a single line of, it's amazing. I mean, when you put the extra effort into it, it comes out good. Let me see your glass. You see that glass? That's the exterior of the Bentley Tower.
Oh, really?
Same diamond. Yes, that's why I looked at it. That same diamond pattern. Maybe when you do the video, you can insert a picture of the tower. But one of the first things we're doing at Bentley, it's not part of the living experience, but it's part of the brand experience and what the building looks like, is to have the diamond faceted on the exterior of the building, which is something nobody else has ever done before. And specifically here in South Florida, with the wind loads and the hurricanes and everything, we had to go through and do a whole product testing to do these kind of triangular windows but it's gonna be super cool from the inside. It's gonna be amazing. So the buildings, I don't just, Bentley is known with they have a lot of diamond stitching and diamonding through the building. If you put too much, it makes you nauseated, but we put just the right amount to hit that brand and really understand what Bentley's about and really have Bentley inside the building. One of the things that the feedback that I got when we built the Porsche Design Tower was it was too masculine.
Oh, okay.
A lot of women didn't want to buy that because the building was too masculine. It was men's colors. It was designed by men. Designed by men for men, I guess. So, and then whereas Armani was completely the opposite, you know, it was really designed by women and Giorgio Armani himself and everybody together, but it's a real kind of beachy feel and elegant beachy feel that they did. What we're planning on doing in Bentley is combining the two. We don't want that man design, but yet the car elevator always throws it to a manly man kind of thing, and you know, so but we're going for a combination of the interior design, and the exterior is going to be just beautiful.
Well, that's smart, because don't they say most women drive the actual purchases? They
do.
They actually make the decision.
They do. Yes, and we learned that at Porsche. We were, you know, some of the women were just you know, and we had to beg them, hey, let your husband win one time, just once. You know, no, I'm kidding. But you know, then from there, we've also based on the fact that we're doing another Dezer Elevator, which is my patented car elevator system.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Your Dezer Elevator. Tell us about that.
So the Dezer Elevator at the Bentley Tower is going to be the same Dezer Elevator as Porsche, but on steroids, if you will. It's going to go a little bit faster on the speed because we already were very high speed, you know, going fast as well. But the reason we are increasing the speed even more is because now instead of 2 parking spaces per unit, we're doing 4. So you're going to have 4 spaces on your level on the oceanfront units and 3 spaces on the west side. And so, yeah, so now we have a 3-car garage or a 4-car garage where you walk out and as you enter the apartment, we moved the location of the swimming pool. So you're going to be entering the apartment, looking over the pool, over the ocean, just an amazing impact shot as you walk in. Wow. So,
for our listeners who might not know what the Dezer Elevator is, it's actually Dezer's own proprietary technology. Gil invented it, where you know, it's an elevator for your car that takes you right up to your unit. So I mean, it's incredible. And now you're just making it bigger and faster and better. So
car elevators have been around for a very long time. We didn't invent the car elevator, and the concept we took was automated parking, but what we adapted it was to allow a passenger in the car. And that's what never been done, because automated parking was always done to save space, you know, stack cars next to each other. It was never done to bring a passenger home. And so our patent has to do with all the different safety requirements that you have inside of an elevator that don't exist in typical elevators to bring a passenger home. And so, yeah, so and it works great. You know, it's been working for 4 years now, 5 years now at the Porsche Tower. And so we proved the case, and now we're going to go ahead and build some more.
So it's perfect for a celebrity. So, you know, forget the porte cochere where you drive in and you feel like you have a private driveway. This is far surpassing that, because this is really, you're able to drive up to your residence and that's it. I mean, go right into your home.
Even in the best buildings, as you pass security, you get to the porte cochere, that private driveway is private to you and 200 of your closest neighbors. You know, it's, you know, you drive in, you'll see the valet sees you, he knows who you're with, what you're doing. The celebrities don't like that. Others don't like that either. We found that a lot of South Americans love the whole idea of the car elevator for safety and security. They just come and go. Nobody sees what they're doing. They're not even about having a nice car in the living room, you know, because the car ends up like parked in your living room. So, but they don't even care about that. They said, well, buy a black Rolls or a black Mercedes and just run through the building. Nobody sees where we are. And so we have a lot of celebrities living in the building, believe it or not. Singers, sports players, and they love the fact that they can come and go without asking for assistance. You know, it's like it's a house in the sky. You can just leave when you want, press a button.
It's perfect. Well, you really are a car lover. I think you have what, over 1,000 cars or something crazy? You're
my father does. Yes.
Your father does. Yes.
Well,
tell us a little bit. I think you just came from a luxury car rally, right? So you're really into cars. Can you talk a little bit about your love of cars?
I loved cars. I mean, growing up, my dad was collecting cars. So we would go on the weekends to a car show, to this, to that. And he loved buying these 50s and 60s cars. And I was always into sports cars, you know, fun cars. And I remember one time he bought a Duesenberg, and he was very proud of it. And I didn't know what it was. I was 11 years old. And he spent, I think it was at the time, like $80,000 on this car. It was a lot of money back then. But the cars today are worth a couple $1 million. But, you know, he spent you know, a lot of money back then on the car. And I said to him, Dad, you know, I don't understand why you buy this car. Why would you buy a Lamborghini? He said, when you're old enough, you go out and make your own money, you go buy your own Lamborghini. And so, you know, that was kind of a little bit of the motivation. I said, okay, you know what, I'm going to do that. And, you know, ever since then, I was always into cars. I was always loving cars, but I like to drive them. He's more of a collector, and I like to drive. So these rallies give me an opportunity to actually drive the car. We had some fun, went to some great places, great restaurants, great people, and and it was a little vacation. Even though in today's world of vacation with Zoom and everything else, I was doing Zoom calls from inside the car. So it still worked out. Yes.
Well, what's your favorite car?
My favorite car, it's a tough one. I have a Porsche 918 Spider that I love driving. The car I have a 911 GT2 RS. This is for car people if they don't know it. Normal people don't know what it is. That's an amazing car. And then I drive every day a 911 turbo convertible, and that's what I took this time. I went with my girlfriend, so we wanted to keep it comfortable.
Nice. So you're a Porsche guy. You
Yes.
love Porsches.
Porsches are the best. They really are the best. And I can say that because I've had Ferraris, I've had Lamborghinis, nothing like a Porsche.
Well, talking about driving, let me just change topic a little bit here and talk about what drives you. I would love for you to talk about, why you get up and do what you do every day, what motivates you and keeps you going.
I ask myself the same question. What motivates me? The answer is it's fun. It's fun. What I do is fun, and I keep it fun. And there's some not fun moments, obviously, but for the most part, it's fun. And so as long as we continue to be, we've had some not clear successes where it's been rough, but we pulled through and made it happen. I remember in 2008, 2009, the crisis, but we pulled through back then. By 2000, so it wasn't fun for a bunch of years, but then the goal was fun. Getting to the goal and getting to that. It's almost like the car racing. You want to get to that finish line all the time. So you're racing, and the race is fun. And going and creating, and right now we're creating things for the Bentley Tower that I specifically. The answer is I create these headaches for myself. I wanted the Bentley, the faucets on the Bentley Tower to feel like the car. The Bentley has a touch point on the car. Let's see if I have my keys on me. I don't. But they have a touch point with this diamond pattern. It's a textured diamond pattern, and I wanted that on the faucets also in the sinks, because that's one of the things. Every touch point on their car has a diamond grip pattern, and it's a very nice. It's a subtle thing. You don't pay attention to it unless somebody tells you about it. And so I said, well, faucets are touch points. Door handles are touch points. I want to kind of bring that from the car into the building. And so I create my own headaches. I have these guys custom manufacturing me faucets, because nobody makes anything like that. So, but it's at the end of the day, when you see it, like, wow, we thought about this, here it is, we're putting in the whole building. That's cool. And there's a lot of that's cool that goes on, from the elevator to the buildings themselves, to the layout. I really think that this building, the Bentley Tower, is going to have the best floor plan of any apartment anywhere in Miami. And I'm not just saying that. We've studied, we look at room sizes, we look at layouts, we look at distributions, and this floor plan is going to be second to none. And so that's why the building's going to be amazing. We're going to kill it as soon as we open the doors, which is hopefully this November. Wow. Assuming that October, November, depending on the sales office construction. I don't want to sell an apartment before the sales office is ready.
Sure, because you want to make sure they get the experience for something.
You got to see it to really understand it. You got to see it to understand it. Once you understand it, they'll blow people's minds.
Well, I hope everybody appreciates those details. I feel like the truly, the people who understand luxury and the true ultra high net worth consumer will appreciate those subtle differences and touches that you're killing yourself over. I'm sure, and so maybe to the untrained eye, it might just look like diamond pattern, but they'll get it if they're really a collector and somebody who values all these little details. One of the things I love to hear a little bit more about is kind of how you got your start. You mentioned your dad. Can you say a little bit about, how you went from, being his son to running the company and becoming, the president?
So I started off being his son in the workplace at 14 years old.
Oh my God.
He would bring me into Manhattan from New Jersey. All of our assets are in New York City, and where I grew up in New Jersey was 15 minutes away. And so I was at 14 years old. I started handing out flyers on the street corner. That was what my father had me doing. And I did that for 14 years. That was the summer job, and also, sometimes in the winter. And then by 15, no, sorry, by 17 years old, sorry, 18 years old. Okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out the time. 18 years old, he put me quasi in charge of, he put me to work on a project where we were converting a building in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't necessarily in charge. I was a construction manager and everything else. I was the delivery guy, which was important, because this is not, we were doing construction deliveries where this is such a small project that you don't have trucks delivering to you. You go to pick up the materials and bring it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to learn all of New York City by driving around every single corner from Brooklyn to Queens to the Bronx to everywhere, every single corner, picking up materials, bringing it to the site. And then at the same time, I was also renting the spaces out inside that building. It was called the Chelsea Antiques Building. It's 110 West 26th Street, I believe it was. And so we were renting out spaces to antique dealers who were, the business model was the antique dealers were setting up on the weekend in the parking lot. And then they would set up on Saturday and Sunday, and then have to bring their stuff home during the week while the parking lot was working. We came up with a campaign, the end of schlepping, and we said, here, you can come out and for the same money you're paying for this parking lot for the month, you can actually have a little store by us. And so we converted a building into about 110 different little stores, 115 I think it was, and I was there. So not only the construction side of it, but we also did the leasing on the weekends. So that was my first work with the family for real. At 18 years old, and it was great. At 19, I was put. These are all summer jobs, of course, during college.
Mm-hmm.
At 19, I was put for leasing in the company, in the real estate company, and I actually wound up leasing what is today known as Manhattan Motor Cars. This is something 20 years ago, but we leased it. We owned the building, and I got the owner on the phone by chance. I was cold calling. And he was ready to open up a Manhattan location, so I was able to get that in. So my first huge deal, that was a very big deal, because that was 100,000 square feet, a 20-year lease, that most brokers would die for in Manhattan.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I didn't even know what I had. So my father said, "Good job, thanks for getting it," and he gave me a Dodge Viper as a commission.
Oh, I love it.
Which was cool. I loved it because I was 19 years old and I had a Dodge Viper. But now in retrospect, I should have done the math, and I would have realized I would have had maybe $1 million in my pocket, if not more. So my dad got away cheap. I got my Viper, but I learned.
You got a Viper and an important lesson out of it. So
right.
That was good.
Yeah. So then came university. I went to University of Miami. I finished university, and the last year of college, my father was coming down. We had owned a hotel here since the 80s. So my father was always coming back and forth to check on the property, etc. It was 96 when my father came down and was talking to some other people here, and they were talking about incorporating the city and changing Sunny Isles into what it is today. And because it was part of unincorporated Dade County. There was no zoning here. There was no police. The hotels were really rough, full of prostitutes and drug addicts and all kinds of stuff like that. And so it was an area where you had to have a vision and cojones to come into, because the area was pretty rough. And but from a New Yorker flying on the plane, you see Bal Harbor to the south, Golden Beach to the north, Aventura to the west. I mean, this is a natural, reaction that this is gonna infill here on the beachside.
Sure.
So my father came and in 96, 97 started buying hotels here in Sunny Isles, knowing that the city's going to change the zoning and everything else. And so we weren't the only ones buying hotels. There were others. We were in some cases competitive. And so we bought as many hotels as we could. We bought I think it was 27 acres and 11 different properties. And so that's where we've been developing ever since. I mean, we bought and sold plenty all over the place, but the development stuff that you hear about is here on the beach. That's the sexy stuff that you hear about. So and that's what we've been doing. We Sunny Isles was that place that it wasn't Bal Harbor, it wasn't South Beach. South Beach at the time was roaring, and so we needed to kind of put this place on the map. Donald Trump, who was our president, but not our president at the time, was looking to do licensing deals And he was about to sign a deal at the Continuum in South Beach, and we were able to bring him up here to Sunny Isles. And you really have to show your cup next to the rendering of the Bentley.
I will. You can put me on some kind of poster or something.
No, I'm gonna sue that cup company for stealing my diamonds. Just kidding. No, so
Well, yeah, I know you did what, 6 Trump branded towers, right?
yes, yeah. We did 2,000 Trump apartments, over $2.5 billion in sales. Yeah, it was a beautiful project. Everything went well up until the crisis. You know, we got stuck in the crisis with about 900 apartments. But between 2009 and 2011, we sold them all out. We did, you know, thank God. Brazil came out of nowhere with the real being strong. The Brazilians were buying like crazy.
I remember that. Oh.
Yeah, and we had to lower prices, of course, but when we did, but we sold. I paid off all my lenders. I paid off $475 million in debt in the middle of the crisis, which was like unheard of.
Unbelievable.
And that opened a lot of doors for us. So when you asked, so your original question was, at what point did I take over the reins of the company? You know, slowly so after college, I went to work for a sales and marketing company, international sales group. Great guys. Great guys that I learned a lot from. I was there for 2 years, and when we were ready to start our first project, I kind of recreated a little mini sales group of my own that has since expanded to today. We have now 120 agents in total. We do our own on-site sales, plus we have our general real estate in a nice 30,000 square foot building. Going back to the question. So that was my story. Was I worked for other companies. I broke my teeth on other people's stuff until we were ready to start our own. I still had never built anything before, and neither had my father. And so we started a project called the Ocean Grand, which was a condo hotel. This was conceived by my father. At the time, it was actually the hardest thing to do in the world is to start building a hotel. There's nothing harder to build than a hotel. Maybe a hospital is harder, but that's what I learned. That was my first building. I learned how to build a hotel and operate a hotel. And we made a little money there, fortunately, but not a shit ton. But what it did was it paved the way for us to keep on building, and also open the doors to the Trump organization. When they came down, they said, well, they loved the hotel concept, and it was a hotel with 2 condominium towers. So the hotel services the 2 condominium towers. Anybody in those towers can order anything from a bottle of champagne to a pack of cigarettes till 5 o'clock in the morning, and it gets brought over to them. So we built, that's the Trump Grand project, and then that was a success, and so we went ahead and did the Trump Towers as well. And in 2007, the crisis hit, and that's pretty much when my dad checked out. He said, you know what? He was ready to give all of our buildings back to the banks.
Really?
The banks were knocking. You know, we had 900 unsold units. We owed $500 million almost. You know, and so I said, listen, you know, you can do the simple math. 900 units, $500 million. We owed $500 million a unit. I said, at any given, call it 550,000 units, simple math. I said, at any given point, the value of the inventory is worth more than what we owe. You know, even if it's 600 million, whatever, it was worth more than what we owed. And I said, let's just give it a try. You know, there's no sense in giving up and let somebody else take it and make the money and fuck up the whole thing. So you know, we negotiated with the banks. We got extensions, and we did it. We did it where nobody else did it. That's the truth. And a lot of people paid attention to that. A lot of lenders paid attention to that, and from there, the doors opened to us. And it was the we did it really was, you know, that was when I took over control of the company, because my father said, I want to go away on a vacation. Wake me when this is all up. He says, I'm old enough. I made my money. I don't need to go through this headache, because it was scary at the time. It was really scary. The whole world was collapsing, you know. And
I know.
And well, I look at it like, you know, it's real estate. It's a physical building. The building's not going anywhere. It's just the market sentiment and how somebody feels about it today. Wait till they feel better about it, and then we'll sell it for more, you know. And so that's the way I always looked at it. And we were able to weather the storm, and we got out of it, you know, doing very well.
You've got guts.
that paved the way for us for the Porsche Design Tower to get the first loan after all this crisis. We scored a loan with them in 2013 for $215 million, and we started building Porsche then. And yeah, so we were the first guys out of the gate with the Porsche Design Tower. We were also looking for a product at the time that was not looking for market sensitive buyers. That's why we went after everything at Porsche Design. Started at $5 million, went to 5 to 35 million on the units. And Bentley, we're going a little bit different. We have units starting at about 3.5 million. Okay. And going up to, like, the majority of the units are between 3.5 and 5.5. So it's a tighter range. Yeah, tighter range. And so same kind of buyer in the building. We have some penthouses at 6 and 7 and that kind of stuff, but that's as high as we're gonna go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so you've got a nice range. I mean, I definitely have heard that when the market gets super tight and you know, like what we've been going through in the last year, and then, you know, like you said, in 2008, that the place for luxury developers to look is actually the ones that are not in the aspirational category, but a little bit higher, that may be ineffective, may be sitting on a bigger nest egg, that they're not really quite as affected potentially by something that just happened in the last year. They're sitting on more, you know, opportunity to invest. So that makes sense. But yet I still feel that now you've got a whole new Miami. Based on what you've said and everything I've been hearing, it really seems like you've got people in the aspirational category or bordering aspirational, high net worth, ultra high net worth, all clamoring for a piece of the pie in Miami. So it makes sense to widen your offering, right? So that everybody can there's something for a wider, I mean, it's all luxury, but some people that are my listeners might be hearing these price points and hearing me talk like it's not super high net worth, but in the world of luxury, you know, there's, you know, higher.
There's no end.
There's no end to it. So,
yeah, I read a stat that there was 820 homes in Miami sold at above $10 million this year. And I said, where the hell are 820 homes in Miami? That price. And I know, you know, a few roads here and there, but there's 40 homes, 60 homes. Where's 800? You know, and I know we have some apartments that sell, but yeah, so you know, what sounds crazy to somebody, it's all relative, you know. I mean, it's all relative. There's so much money coming here to South Florida. It's amazing. I mean, and the real answer is, why not? If you have the wealth, what are you going to do in any other part of the world? You know, especially during a lockdown, that must have been miserable for those people. DeSantis, you know, the guy's a great. What he did for this state was phenomenal. And I don't think he did it purposely. I think it was almost by accident. You know, he just kept us open, and he was the winner. You know, it's called the prisoner's dilemma, right? If everybody's doing the same thing and you do something else, you're going to wind up being the winner, and that's exactly what happened. So you know, he just stayed open and showed that this whole virus was not as crazy as everybody made it out to be, and it worked for us. It really did.
Well, you've got everybody there, you've got the weather, you've got everything open. I mean, well, obviously not internationally, but you know, that's what everybody's craving. You tick all the boxes right there. So, and now you're offering great new, gorgeous new product. But here's
the key thing. It's once people tasted the lifestyle down here and to live down here, they're not going home. They came down as a refuge because they didn't want to be in their you know, where they were, right? But once you come here, I don't think you can. It's not easy to leave. It really isn't. This place is literally, you can live in paradise and have a real business. You can be a lawyer, doctors, all kinds of other stuff down here that you know, and in all kinds of financial industries, South American financial. This is the banking capital of South America, and of course the real estate industry, hotels, tourism is huge here. So there's industry here. It's not like we're some banana republic that everybody used to make us out to be.
Right, and you know, part of what the pandemic has shown us is that you can really mix your lifestyle and work much more than we ever thought. We really did think it was okay. You have to be in a city that maybe isn't the most beautiful, and you know, or maybe there's grit and whatever. You're there for another reason. You're not there to be on vacation. But as people are working from home, work-life balance is becoming a lot more of a thing, and people are realizing they can have all of it in one place. There's been a huge movement towards why not work from paradise. And in this case, why not work from paradise and you're still in the US? It's like, it's a no-brainer, honestly. So
during the lockdown, I was doing all my Zoom calls and I went on my boat for a month. Okay, so we were doing everything from the boat, and with this background, you don't know where I am.
That's true. That's true.
So that's it. Put on my button down and I'm in business.
I love it. So could you just give us a little bit of information on what you see coming next in terms of either trends you're seeing that you like, or maybe some things that you're seeing as gaining momentum or popularity or demands that residents are looking to have in the future of residences? Can you talk about that a little bit?
I think that since we were part of one of the developments that really increased service levels was inside the buildings, you see now a lot of developers putting these hotel brands on buildings in order to kind of tell a buyer that they're going to have that increased level of service. So I think that that's what's happening within these buildings. I can tell you that Porsche Design Tower and Armani, during the lockdown, the restaurants in those buildings did phenomenal because it was way easier than any Uber Eats, and it was right downstairs. And so, a condo that was built 10, 15 years ago probably doesn't have a restaurant downstairs. And so now where that was a simple, we added tremendous amount of amenities to our buildings back with the Porsche Tower. People then caught up with us and started copying and as they should. And so now you're seeing, buildings full of amenities to the point where you don't need to leave ever, really never need to leave. And I think that's one of the trends, not leaving, being home, really enjoying your apartment, enjoying the space, and being able to stay home because, if there's another strain coming out, my mother sent me something about this, what's it called, the Delta strain.
Yeah.
And who knows what can happen again. Yeah, home has become a very important thing for all of us. And so we at the Bentley Tower, we really looked at the floor plan and we said, this has to be a real livable floor plan. And that's exactly what we did. We created a real functional, livable, with still taking advantage of the amazing views and the fact that we could stick the car in the living room and all that fun stuff. So so it's going to be spectacular.
So are you almost recreating your own Miami version of the grand apartment living that you see on the Upper East and Upper West in New York, where you've got a house in the sky? Is that what you're talking about?
That's what we've been doing. I think on my type of properties where we're oceanfront, which is it's A++++, doesn't get better than what we are. You can't build a little 1,200 square foot 2-bedroom. That's not the product. You need to really do something grand luxury because if you analyze going forward, there will be maybe over the next call it 10 years, 1,000 new units built in Sunny Isles, and that's it. And then we're done. We're built out, and it's game over. So people who are buying these units today, then they're seeing that, and so there's additional value to what's going on, and to just build a regular 2,000 square foot apartment, they can buy across the bay in Aventura. These units are readily available. But we want to make something like really livable, really spectacular, and that what deserves to be in an iconic building.
That makes total sense. And with cars, they're going to be, once you drive it off the lot, that's not always the best investment. But with these houses, you might be a car lover. Maybe you should put your money in the home that is branded, because that is probably going to just appreciate in value with what's happening with the real estate.
Believe it or not, a lot of our buyers have collector cars, which have turned out to be a tremendous investment.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. And so one guy at Porsche has a $24 million Ferrari sitting there in his garage. And so, yeah, what is it to buy a $6 million garage that comes with a free apartment to house your $24 million Ferrari? But, he's a crazy car collector, and he wants that car as a focal point in his living, and it's amazing. It's beautiful what he did. So, you have to each his own. And then we have our celebrities. We have Maluma lives in the building. I don't know if you know who he is.
I do. I'm actually friends with his publicist. It's
okay.
Small world.
So he lives in the building. Lionel Messi, the soccer player, these are the guys who it's not about the car. They just want to go in the elevator, come upstairs, and not be seen and be bothered by anybody. So it's to each his own, and we're glad that it works both ways. And it's worked out for us. And so other developers listening to this need to pay attention and buy the Dezer Elevator from me. We're licensing it because now we're creating sellable garage space adjacent to the unit. We don't just put these elevators in the building for fun. Every garage is now 1,000 feet, and 1,000 feet at even $1,000 a foot is $1 million, you know, so we're selling the garages for $1 million each plus. And that's the story. That's how we're paying for these elevators plus.
Smart. Well, I've really enjoyed this chat, Gil. Do you have any parting thoughts for our listeners? Anything you want to leave them with?
In this next go around of purchasing, make sure you buy. There's going to be a lot of interesting and strange product coming out from people who are not necessarily qualified, is what I'm starting to see. And so make sure whatever you buy from reputable people, and because the reputations do come from someplace, and there's a reason for it. So that's all I can say. Well,
and you have to be careful, because we don't want there to be any sort of, bad mark on Miami. Miami's gone through cycles, as our listeners.
We don't need another overbuilt story here.
We don't.
And I don't think we're going to have it. We're running out of land per se, and so it's not going to be like it was before. But there's still going to be that element to it.
Yep. Go with somebody who's already proven that they're a real reputable, solid developer. That's a good tip. That's a really good tip.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Gil. This was a pleasure. Really great to see you. You might be on your boat secretly, and I have no idea, but I still.
Today I'm in the office, but.
Okay. Well, I really enjoyed the time. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.